It all started in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when two young couples fled the woods in utter panic, claiming they had just witnessed a terrifying 7-foot-tall white-winged creature. They quickly went and reported the incident to the local newspaper, and the story spread like wildfire. But so did the sightings of the mysterious being. Hi, my name is Alex, and welcome to Dead Scribbles. So it's the 12th of November 1966 in Calendon, West Virginia, and a group of gravediggers are just minding their own business, working in the cemetery, when suddenly they glance up and spot something very strange. Something huge and eerily human-shaped soars right above them and is moving away rapidly, darting from one tree to another. This was the first reported sighting, just 3 days after the poor cemetery workers' initial report. In nearby Point Pleasant, West Virginia, two couples noticed a white-winged creature about 7 feet tall standing right in front of the car they were all sitting in. Roger Scarberry and Steve Mallet, who were in the car that night, told the local paper that the being had bright red eyes about 6 inches apart and a wingspan of 10 feet. What was interesting was the apparent urge it had to avoid the bright headlights of their car. According to the eyewitnesses, the creature was able to fly at incredible speeds, as fast as 100 miles per hour, but all of them also seemed to have agreed that it was quite a clumsy runner on the ground. They apparently found this out because it chased their vehicle to the outskirts of the town while in the air, then proceeded to run away on foot into a nearby field and disappeared. At first, reporters were skeptical of this story, and in the papers they called the creature a bird and a mysterious creature. However, they did include Steve Mallet's description of it, where he refers to it as a winged man. Over the following year, more and more sightings were reported as the legend of the Mothman spread. One of them was Newell Partridge, a resident of Salem, West Virginia. His story is one of the more well-known sightings because it allegedly led to the disappearance of his dog. He was watching TV one night when he saw a strange reflection in the screen, followed by a mysterious sound just outside of his home. He shone a light toward the direction of the noise and supposedly saw 2 shiny red eyes looking back at him. To this day, some still believe that the beast took his beloved dog that night.
The Mothman frenzy went from 1966 into 1967, but the activity continued. We lived close to the Scarberries. I grew up on a hillside in West Union called Shannon's Knob. Late at night, it would sound like someone had jumped out of a helicopter. The roof would go boom, just like that. There would be a pause, and then these footsteps. Somebody was walking on our roof, and they might be up there 10, 15 minutes, and the footsteps would stop as if something had flown away.
So who or what exactly is the Mothman? Unlike Bigfoot or other cryptids, the legend of the Mothman has a definitive start date and a location. After the initial report by the two young couples, newspaper in the area began to run with the story of a humanoid creature reportedly seen in the Point Pleasant area from November 1966 to December 1967. The first article was published in the Point Pleasant Register under the name "Couple See Man-Sized Bird, Creature, Something." And shortly after that, the story spread like wildfire across the United States.
You know, there were sightings in Ohio, there were sightings in West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Kentucky. It's just that rash of sightings didn't last nearly as long as it did here at Point Pleasant.
As legend has it, the flying winged man, more commonly known as the Mothman, terrified the Point Pleasant residents in the late 60s, and naturally, when a bridge collapsed, killing 46 people in the horrifying accident, some people put the blame on the Mothman. The Mothman appeared in books by Gary Barker and John Keel. thus introducing the being to a much wider audience, especially since the book by John Keel titled The Mothman Prophecies was made into a movie in 2002 starring Richard Gere. In these books, there are claims that there were supernatural events tied to the sightings and a connection to the collapse of the Silver Bridge. Just over a year after the first Mothman sighting, traffic was bad on the Silver Bridge, a bridge originally built in 1928, a time when cars were significantly lighter.
But after barely 40 years, the design and materials used came to haunt them. On December the 15th, 1967, the bridge fell in less than 1 minute, with the loss of 46 lives.
The traffic put a strain on Silver Bridge, and without warning, it cracked. The chain snapped and it fell to pieces, plunging cars and pedestrians into the icy water of the Ohio River below. 46 lives were lost that day. Following the Mothman sightings, the bridge collapse was the second terrible and bizarre thing to put Point Pleasant on the map in a year's time. So it didn't take long for some to connect the two. But it doesn't end here. Eventually, there were Mothman sightings in other places in the United States, thus leading us to the case of the Chicago Mothman. Starting in 2011 and peaking in 2017, sightings of a Mothman-like creature began surfacing all over Chicago, with the description of the being varying from it being from 6 to 10 feet tall and having a 10+ foot wide wingspan. It's been compared to a big owl, a petrosaur, and a bat. The color of its eyes also varies from story to story, from people saying it has red eyes to others claiming they're green, yellow, and orange. Other descriptive features include fur, leather skin, bat wings, and no neck. In the city, moth people were spotted all over, but most often around bodies of water. A witness that wished to stay anonymous claimed to have seen one during a solar eclipse in northerly Ireland. They say they were observing as the moon began its transit when they heard a very loud scream. At first they attributed the noise to squeaky truck brakes, but then they heard it again. Turning toward the direction of the sound, they see a large creature flying low over the docks. They described it as a large black bat with humanoid features, such as pronounced arms and legs. Whether the sightings in Point Pleasant or Chicago are real, we can't say for sure. However, the Mothman can still be seen today in form of a historical museum in Point Pleasant, and also in the form of a 12-foot tall chrome-polished statue, complete with massive steel wings and ruby red eyes. Do you know what else is said to have red gleaming eyes? Skinwalkers. So if you want to learn more about them and see captured footage, then click here and I'll see you there.